Hello. Thank you. Welcome to the third Quantum Philosophy Workshop. I am here with the author of Quantum Philosophy, William Humphrey.
Hello, everyone.
Today William is going to go into further detail about quantum philosophy. If you have already purchased the book, this section will help to further clarify some of the concepts. I hope you have your thinking caps on.
Today, I'm going to talk about quantum philosophy's concept of God's laws.
God's laws sounds interesting. What are God's laws?
God's laws are God's will. No one is qualified to say they understand why God's will is what it is. But everyone is qualified to be a witness to God's will.
Let me see if I understand. What you mean is, no one can say why God decides to do what God does, but everyone can see what God does for themselves.
Exactly. And what God does is God's will. God's laws are the tasks that God has committed to do. When God makes a commitment, it is permanent. God's laws are the genuine methods that God used to create the universe.
Okay, then it is safe to say that God's laws are God's actions. What is the importance of knowing God's laws?
It is important to learn quantum philosophy, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and the nature of physics. These are the most important lessons anyone can teach another, because these fields are the study of life. All other things you learn should stem from the study of life. That is where you will learn more about life and God. When you study what truly was created, you have no choice but to learn more about the Creator. Science and religion oppose each other out of ignorance. The design of the universe say that they are not opposite.
Basically, you're saying that physics helped to build ethics and morals.
God created you to be logical, and then created a language within the design of the universe. For example, when you look into a microscope at high settings, you will see that plastic is built from the same components that all things are built from. The only reason why this is true is so that you can understand that the physical is not what it seems to be. God has the ability to make anything that you look at under a microscope reflect a close-up view of what you originally saw. The act of substances breaking down under a microscope takes an effort and an intention. Basically, things breaking down under a microscope is a miraculous message that most men have become desensitized to.
So what you are saying is that if you were looking at plastic under a high-powered microscope, there is no logical reason why we don't just see a close-up of plastic, and if you are looking at metal, there is no logical reason why we don't just see a close-up of metal. Furthermore, you are saying that because matter is designed to break down under closer inspection, God is saying, and I quote, "I want you to understand."
God could have created the same existence that we have now, without any design or laws. God created laws that governs the universe, for one reason, and one reason only. The laws are a target to achieve. Divine design is the counterpart to the gift of understanding. When both of these gifts are used correctly, you will become enlightened. Enlightenment is a self-fulfilling reward. It is self-gratifying. The search for God is never a noble cause. We search for God simply for satisfaction. Basically, we want to know God simply because God is great.
Wow, I never thought about it like that.
You never thought about anything, my friend. You do not truly exist. Me and you are both computer-generated.
Yes, I understand that, but the more I learn about quantum philosophy, the more valid my life seems to be. I mean, who is to say that the people who are watching this video are more real than we are? Their world is made up of pure energy, and it is a binary code just like ours. I can also say I think, therefore I am.
Now you are getting it. The biggest difference between our two worlds is the fact that their world is in God's mind, and our world is in the memory of this computer program. Their world is Memorex, and our world is gigabytes. Quantum philosophy talks very clearly about God's memories, but that is another chapter, understanding that God's laws exist, and they have absolutely no structure. Then realizing that all the structure and design of the universe comes from a cosmic intention. This brings you closer to becoming enlightened.
So, you're saying that by knowing the fact that no one can understand God's will, but then seeing it in action, brings you closer to enlightenment. Can you explain why this is true?
First, we have to realize that God is not limited by time. This means that there is no such thing as time to God.
Very well. God does not experience time.
This means that what God has done, God continues to do. For example, God created existence, and God creates existence. Both are occurring right now. Past, present, and future are one and the same. When you do not account for time, all truth creates this paradox. Cause and effect no longer apply.
Okay, I got it.
Quantum philosophy's primary principle is the concept that God is everywhere. This means that God is all things. This is to be taken quite literally. Keeping that in mind, I am going to give you this analogy. I need you to follow me in thought.
I will try to follow.
We are going to bear witness to the creation of the universe.
Sounds like fun.
Picture nothingness, no light, no space, no color. The only thing that exists is God. There is nothing outside of God. Right now, God is about to decide to create the universe. This is the birth of God's will.
Wait. I can't picture this nothingness.
Yes, I know. That is because it is impossible to conceive anything that is not governed by God's laws. Let's picture the inside of a huge ocean instead. This ocean will represent the empty universe.
You were just checking to see if I was paying attention.
Yes. Now that I know that you are paying attention, let us proceed with the creation of the universe. First, because all that exists is God. All things must be made from the essence of God. We need a drawing utensil, like a marker. We will fill the marker with God's essence. Now, inside of this ocean, using this marker, we will inscribe all things that will exist in the universe.
Let me see if I got this straight. We are going to fill this marker with the water of the ocean, then use this same marker to draw something inside of the ocean. Hold on, you are pulling my leg again. If we were to use this marker, which is filled with the same water that the ocean consists of, and try to draw something, the drawings would simply mix back into the ocean without creating any pictures.
Actually, this time, I am not pulling your leg intentionally. This is an actual mystery. God's laws is the answer. But what is the question?
Oh, wow, I get it. The question is, how did God create individual things within the infinite nature of God? If I'm right, the ocean represents God's infinite nature. And you are saying that the answer is God's laws.
You got it. God decided to create a tour through life. God's laws are the guide. God decided to create sentient beings to take the tour. Then God created a map. When God decided to create, oh yeah, remember, when God does anything, it is a law. So when God decided to create, it was the birth of God's laws. God created the law of contrast, making it possible to separate and identify things. God also created the law of color, making it possible for sentient beings to distinguish things by sight. God also created the law of temperature, making it possible for sentient beings to distinguish things by touch.
Now everything is becoming clear.
When God created the universe, God designed an infinite amount of laws to govern and operate it. God's laws are the actual methods that God used to create existence. The laws govern all that exist. As God created the laws, the universe unfolded. Basically, this created the Big Bang.
Wow. I see. The universe formed as God created the laws. How did you come up with this? It is really out-of-the-box thinking.
During self-reflection, I was driven and inspired time and again. But that is a whole nother session.
Wow, that is interesting. Well, we are now out of time. Please visit www.thatsdebatableonline.com. Become a member. If you have not yet purchased the book Quantum Philosophy, please pick it up. There is much more enlightening information to be understood. William, is there anything you would like to say to the people watching this video before we leave?
I would like to hear from you. Please contact me at www.williamahumphrey@yahoo.com. I hope you have enjoyed yourself, and thank you for watching.
Please show this video to all your friends and family. Goodbye.